Pokemon Red was the first JRPG I ever played. When I was a kid, any other game that I played that had turn-based combat, I went like, yeah, but it ain't Pokemon. Because I was a stupid kid and I was so used to how Pokemon works, I was never open-minded enough to invest time into more complex JRPGs like Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy. Pokemon to me was comfort food. Since I knew how these games worked, anything else that is veering off that particular formula, I just refused to play. I remember one day I went to a Blockbuster and I rented Final Fantasy VII, and I hated it. I saw that Final Fantasy has all these complex synergy systems and strategies, and you got materia and all that stuff you need to take into consideration, whereas Pokemon could be beaten by any dumbass toddler. Since my 8-year-old brain was used to literally the simplest form of JRPG ever made, I didn't like Final Fantasy. Actually, I wouldn't touch a single JRPG except the Pokemon games up until Arceus for the next 20 years. Over all this time, I've built up a tremendous love for horror games. I've always loved horror games, especially in the PS1 and PS2 era, and I knew of one game that combines survival horror and JRPG elements that I wanted to try for a long time called Parasite Eve. So in 2024, I started my first playthrough of it. This game is like watching a theater play. The cinematography is absolutely insane for a PS1 game. The music is so pompous, yet there's a certain oddity to it. The opening cutscene sets you up perfectly for what's to come. And right after that, you start investigating the origins of what happened in this beautifully designed opera house. Then like 5 minutes in, there's a boss fight. The game gains traction immediately. The combat system in Parasite Eve is very unique and is used only in one other game also made by Square by the name of Vagrant Story. When it's your turn to attack, you activate this dome around you and that lets you select an enemy. But before that, you can freely run around and position yourself. But you're always fighting alone. Always. It's just you and this lady called Aya Brea. There is no party, which at the time was quite unusual for that genre. The story is captivating, the cutscenes are impressive, it's fun to upgrade your weapons and choose between several guns and spells. I loved the monster design. Overall, I loved Parasite Eve. I completed it in around 15 hours and it is now my favorite PS1 horror game along with Silent Hill and Resident Evil. Parasite Eve gave me that tiniest little taste of what to expect from a JRPG, so now I was curious. Now I wanted to play one of the greats, the one that is almost universally seen as the best and most profound RPGs of that era. I decided to try the one and only Final Fantasy VII. I pulled out my PS TV, which is technically a stationary PS Vita with an HDMI output. This thing is amazing because it has a pretty big library of PS1 games available for download, and so I got FF7 for it. The base version. No speeding up the random encounters, no quality of life changes like the PS4 version has, nothing. So I boot up the game, and it just goes off the rails immediately. The iconic shot of Midgar, the suggested vastness of the world, the busy scenery, the music kicking in. Holy shit, what an opening. The game then just immediately throws you into battle. A JRPG immediately starting with a bang is something that I didn't expect because in Pokemon, you gotta get through hours of tutorials before you first start doing fun shit. Nope, that's not what FF7 is like. You just get in there and learn the mechanics as you go, and it's fun. I'm usually not super big on story-heavy games with long cutscenes, but for this game, I love playing a segment and then seeing those beautifully rendered scenes with some of the best music I've ever heard in a video game. I knew FF7 was beloved for its music, but I didn't expect it to be my kind of music. Well, it was. It's just too good. The hours just flew by with this game. I spoke to every NPC I came across, the dialogues filled with personalized stories of the people you meet, not one character reusing a line you've already seen from another. The attention to detail of this game is ridiculous considering it came out on the same console as Hellboy. There were some moments here and there where I had no idea what to do next, but all I had to do was to find some people and talk to them and just pay attention for a little bit. So I never really felt stuck unless I came across a boss that just annihilated my party, which motivated me to grind XP for a few levels, then come back and just fucking destroy them. Me personally, I have nothing against grinding in RPGs. I actually do like it if it's not too slow and tedious, and Final Fantasy VII's leveling speed is pretty fast if you know where to go. But I will say this, I am glad random encounters aren't really a huge thing anymore these days. There were times where I got encounters almost back to back just a few feet away from each other, which was definitely annoying and made backtracking very tedious, but I never chose to run away from a fight. I still fought them because I was actually enjoying the combat in this game. I didn't know there's this many synergies and strategies you can create. The materia system just worked so well, and I found myself switching my equipment and materia around between my characters all the time, sometimes spending an hour in the menu to try and create the perfect team, experimenting with my party members' abilities. Then there's the gold saucer, which just has all these fun little mini games that reward you with insane prices that can make your party strong as shit. I was having an absolute blast with Final Fantasy VII. After 60 hours of one hell of an emotional ride, I finally got to the fight against the biggest dick in Midgard, take that sentence however you want, Sephiroth. Okay, dude, listen, I knew Final Fantasy games tend to be over the top and cinematic. I had some spells where I would summon these, well, basically they're gods or something, and they would make the earth quiver and fucking blast a guy with a supernova goddamn laser fuck you beam, and the attack animation would take a whole minute before hitting my target. Well, one of Sephiroth's attack is a whopping 2 minutes long. Sephiroth starts by summoning a fucking wormhole or some shit. Then there's these satanic looking symbols everywhere and this crazy math stuff. Then this comet just fucking blasts through space, arriving in our galaxy, where Sephiroth harvests the power of the entire goddamn solar system by making the sun swallow every planet, and then Sephiroth just obliterates you with the power of an entire fucking galaxy. What the fuck is that, Japanese people? I've never seen anything this over the top. And goddammit, I love this shit. I died a lot in this fight, sure. The second and third time Sephiroth used this ridiculous attack on me, I kinda just sighed and went to the bathroom or got myself some cereal. But the first time I saw this, I was just laughing hysterically at how ridiculous this shit is. So after an hour of changing up materia, rebuilding my team, and a little bit of luck, I then finally beat Sephiroth. I have now finished Final Fantasy VII, and the ending cutscene made me cry, and now I get it. Okay, now I get it. I do. I have since completed Chrono Trigger and absolutely loved it. I'm currently playing Earthbound, and I love it so much that I think I want to make a video on it in the future. But as far as older JRPGs go, I still didn't think I would be able to find a game that tops the sheer joy and excitement I felt when playing Parasite Eve or Final Fantasy. But then I played Paper Mario, like, holy shit.